history lesson. Chianti is one of the most regulated regions in Europe, the world. It's extremely tightly controlled. It has to be because of the way it had gotten to in the mid-1990s. It was a disaster, and there was no controls, or very, very little, and there was very little law keeping. Chianti 2000 was a project to improve everything, to identify the right Sangiovese clones with the right plots of land and the right soil types, and it was widely considered to be very, very successful. And these days it's extremely regulated. Production, the way that you grow grapes, vineyard ownership, management, all that sort of stuff is very, very well controlled. And the quality out of Chianti these days, I think, is absolutely brilliant, top of the tree stuff. And it's certainly the region that, not just because I love the style, the qualities of different plots and different vineyards are really easy to discern, certainly when you're getting really good producers. However, some producers then think, oh, it's not going to stop me. I'm going to push the boundaries of what I can do in the winery if I can't do it in the vineyard. So a lot of new oak barrels were used, certainly in the late noughties, and the impact on the wine is that you get a big, rich, oaky wine, which is not entirely what Chianti is all about. It's a very nice experience, and certainly on the international markets they're very, very popular, but the authorities generally believe that, hold on a second, this is not kind of where we want Chianti to go. We want it to be more terroir driven, and we want people to be able to work out the nuance and difference between different soil types. So by about I think the first vintage we ever saw of them were 2011. Out comes this new thing, a new category called Gran Selezione, which sits above Chianti Classico Reserva. So Chianti Classico, Gran Selezione. And this is has minimum criterion of 3 years in great big oak vats. So you can't use small little barrels. You have to use great big oak vats. So 3 years in those, and then more time in bottle, and the impact should be much higher quality grapes, with a more gentle oak impact. If you can imagine that small oak barrels have a higher surface area of wood to wine, so the impact of wood is higher. So big oak barrels, much more liquid inside, and the surface area to oak is much lower, so you have less oak flavour impact and more impact of what oak can do. Because oak is porous, micro-oxygen gets in over 3 years of time, and that'll gently soften the wine, and you still get a flavour of the grapes. And if you believe in terroir, you'll be able to taste the terroir as well. Brilliant. Ricasoli, who kind of invented Chianti Classico back in the 1860s, this is their Gran Selezione. Not only did they say we're going to take some of our best grapes or our best wines, they said, hold on, we're going to lead here. We're going to take our very best vineyard. The Colledila vineyard on Albarese soils, which is very, very deep loam and calcareous soils, even with fossils, or as they say in the back of this, skeletons, which I think is quite nice. All over their estate, they do have signs saying hunting is forbidden, divieto di caccia. Well, it is now, but was it back then? Anyway, so anyway, you get this beautiful wine. It's still not without controversy, the Gran Selezione thing, because if you have to have it for 3 years in an oak barrel, it doesn't stop you from putting it for 2 years in a really small oak barrel first, taking it out, putting it into for another 3 years, just having 5 years of aging. No problem with that. And people are possibly doing that as well, still using small oak barrels as well as big oak barrels, and pushing loopholes. Sure, it's Chianti, but this is beautiful. This is rich, and it's very, 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 very silky smooth, and that's the impact of a long oak aging that is not oak for the sake of flavour, oak for the sake of texture. 14% alcohol, could be a bit higher, could be a bit lower, but again, Ricasoli, which is quite a modern estate these days, I think this is absolutely gorgeous. It is iconic, and this is the best wine that they make. So if you don't like this, well, we can start again, but I hope that you do.